Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. As always, I'm pretty excited about tonight's conversation and tonight's guest. If you are new to these weekly conversations, welcome to the family. We are excited that you found your way here. If you missed any of our previous conversations, all you have to do is look on my YouTube channel. Yes, right. Just jump over to YouTube and look up Conversations with Cubit, and you can subscribe there when you get there, browse when you get there, but follow and look up any of the past conversations. But right now, I need you to do me a huge favor and share this conversation. Don't keep this conversation to yourself. You absolutely must share this conversation with your community. Hit the share button, start a watch party, do whatever you got to do to spread the word. But as you can see, we are not in some fancy production studio tonight. We are back at a place I refer to as home. We are at Millwood as the guest of Dr. Cecilia Robinson Woods, the superintendent of Millwood Public Schools. But before we get started, let me share with you my goals for these weekly conversations. And I only have 3 simple goals. 1 is add value to people and my community. 2, inspire you to believe in what people can become. And 3, love people, period. All this means is I want you to be inspired. I want you to get useful information and resources, and I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. Every conversation will be about information, inspiration, and hope. Now, today is a very special day for me personally, and it will be a very special day for you as well. If you know me at all, you know I jump on every opportunity to celebrate all things Millwood. I celebrate my friends from the school, the teachers, the administrators, the students, the academic and athletic performance, and today I get to celebrate traditions and legends. That's right, I have the legends of the Millwood Falcon tradition sitting with me today. Back in 1972, Millwood High School had its very first graduating class. That makes this year the 50th anniversary of that moment. And there are very special plans, awesome plans to commemorate that celebration. This milestone is big, and you don't want to miss any of it. I graduated from here back in 1987, and if you're sitting there and you're thinking about how long ago that was, I have news for you. The legends joining me tonight were here at Millwood long before I got here, and were here long after I left. What I'm telling you is we absolutely have Falcon legends with me today. And together, they helped form a legacy of excellence, pride, and commitment that certainly shaped my life and the lives of many people in our community. So please help me welcome Mr. Scott, Miss Spears, and Mr. Allison to the show. Does y'all feel really special? Y'all should feel really, really special right now. That's good, because I want you to feel special, because you're very, 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 very special. Now, what I'm going to do, you guys have to share a microphone, so when you talk, you take the microphone from him, but don't fight. You know, don't do any of that. Right. So what I want you to do is, you all came here at different times, but you all been here a long time. So I want to start with you, Miss Spears. If you would talk to us and tell us when you came to Millwood, how long you came, and kind of the capacities in which you served. Did you lose your microphone? You gave your microphone to the dog? No, it's here. It's here. I think it's here. Yeah, you good. Let me dress you up. This is live TV. That's okay. Boom.
Thank you.
All right.
My name is Ernie Spears. I came to Millwood in 1970. I retired in 14. And I left here with 45 years of education in the world of today.
And what are all the capacities you serve? So we all know you as the legendary girls basketball coach, but you did a lot more than that.
When I first came to Millwood, I got the job as a physical education teacher, which I loved, and I was in the elementary, which I loved elementary, because elementary is just the world.
Yeah.
Because you can get to see them grow up in the world. And then I did a lot of things.
Yes, you did.
All of them good.
Academic Bowl. I don't know. I did so many things. If it needed to be done, I just went and done it.
You just went and done it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to come back to some of the stuff you did. Mr. Scott, why don't you grab that microphone and tell us when you came to Millwood and the capacities in which you served. And then when did you leave?
I came to Millwood in 1972,
Mm-hmm.
and I left in 1996. Retired in 1996, right.
That was your second retirement, right?
That was my second retirement. I left the band in 1988.
Okay, in 1988. So I remember we did, and this just came to my mind, we did, at your first retirement, you got roasted. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I was I did a pretty good Mr. Scott imitation back in the day. I'm not doing that today because at the end I knew that your wife had you under control. Now you could attack me, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. But you left the band in '88 and then came back as principal.
Yes, I was assistant principal in 1988 at the high school, and then I became principal at the middle school.
Stop it.
1990.
Yeah, and then you stayed there till '96.
96, right.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Mr. Allison, tell us when you came and the capacities in which you served.
My name is Jeremiah Allison. I came to Millwood in 1977. I retired in 2016. And I served in the areas of elementary physical education for about 5 years. From there, I moved up to the junior high school and did physical education there. I also served as assistant coach under Ms. Spears and Coach Franklin. My latter years, I did cross country and tennis.
Yeah, and tennis. You get credit for being everybody's PE teacher. I don't know elementary, I don't know how that happened, but you had every single student in
Yes,
PE.
I did.
So you knew us all. And you also get credit for as I'm concerned. I never even cared about tennis, but you put a tennis racket in my hand in probably 7th grade.
Yes.
And I end up excelling in racket sports, all of them from that point. So all of my athleticism was discovered when I got a racket in my hand. That's it. Tell me, and any one of you can take this question, but I'm curious about your pathway on how you ended up at Millwood.
Once I graduated from Langston, I did my student teaching here at Millwood. I was fortunate enough to do my student teaching here at Millwood. And I'm thinking right now I did an outstanding job because the elementary physical education teacher, he got him an assignment at Luther, Oklahoma as the principal. So he recommended me, and that's when I started my career here at Millwood.
And you never went to another school?
Never went to another school. I did my entire 40 years here at Millwood.
Wow. Mr. Scott, what was your pathway here?
When I graduated from Langston in 1964, my first job was down in Frederick, Oklahoma. And I left Frederick, Oklahoma, and I went to the college level. I taught at Virginia Union University in Richmond for about 3 years. And I wasn't satisfied. I couldn't get what I needed. So I came back to the public school system, and I came to Harding Middle School for 3 years. And from I was recruited by
5 superintendents at
I'm
Millwood.
trying to think of it.
So there was Mr. Good.
It was before Mr. Good.
Before Mr. Good. I don't know who it was for Mr. Good.
Oh, God. I was thinking about him yesterday.
Yeah.
So Mr. Good, Dr. Ed,
This was before
This was before-
Mr. Good.
Dr. Griffin, and
I can see
And
his
Cecilia?
face.
Miss Woods now. So that's 4. So there is one that I'm missing.
Mr. Scales served as superintendent for.
Oh, Mr. Scales was superintendent for a while too? I thought he was just principal.
No, he's Scales.
He was acting.
Or interim. Maybe it was interim. Okay. Yeah, that's good. But you got recruited.
Mr. Clark.
Clark. That's
Mr. Clark. I
Mr.
thought
Clark.
about him the other day about that. I don't know why it came to my mind. I think it was because I was asked a question of the number of superintendents that we had.
Yeah.
And I still can't think of another gentleman. And I still, man.
But you
Yeah.
came here specifically for music, for a band.
Yes, Mr. Clark recruited me through a music store that I was dealing with. Larson's
Had to
Music
be
Company.
Larson's because everybody got their.
Larson's, right. The Larson's people came over to Harding, and they said that Mr. Clark was interested in me and wanted to talk to me, so I came over and I took the job then.
Right. And I remember you saying at one point that you knew early on, maybe, I don't know if you were in high school, but you knew that you were going to have a band one day.
Oh, yeah. I always said if I had a band, there would not be any horn holders in my band.
Talk about what a horn holder is.
A horn holder is just in a uniform holding a horn and you can't blow it. And so you see a large band in it and you sound like you got 3 people playing.
Right, right.
But I wanted everybody in my band to play. And so I held a uniform over their heads. You can't wear this uniform unless you can play your music. And so when my band played, the grass laid down in front.
That's right.
So everybody was playing. Everybody was proud. And in fact, if you didn't know your music, the band members told on you. He can't play, Mr. Scott. Check him out.
And I thought all the time it was you with this really good ear to be able to tell that I was sharp or flat, but you was really a snitch. That's what you were saying. Yeah, and so one of the things that I know that Millwood is an athletic school. At least it gets a lot of credit for being an athletic school. But you created a lot of competition in the band too. We had to compete for chairs. Talk about the competition that you created within the band.
Well, you kind of it was kind of up to you as an individual, because if you couldn't play, you didn't sit in that chair. It was just plain. You couldn't play. You had to work to get it. You had to work every time we went out. Everybody in the band was playing their best, and I made sure they played the best because I listened to each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And if they couldn't play it, I'd send them back to the practice room until they come back and they play it.
Yeah. You thought that in the basketball that everybody had to try out for their uniform or try out for the team. In the band, we had to try out every week. We had to try out every week to get our uniform for the game on Friday. We had to come in, sit in his office, and play whatever the song he picked for us. If we could not play it, then he took our uniform and we didn't play on Friday night.
There was a parent that had plenty of money, and they came to me. Their daughter couldn't play, and the parent came to me and said, "I'll buy a uniform for them." How many more uniforms do you need? I'll buy them. I said, "No, you got to earn this."
That's right. That's right.
there.
Miss Spears, how did you end up at Millwood? Because was this your first job
This is my first job.
and only job?
My only job. My husband got that job for me.
She don't even know how to fill out an application.
I didn't really need to. He said, "Okay, we're graduating from college." He had already graduated, and he said, "I got a job for you." I hadn't even graduated yet. He said, "Okay." So he said, "At Millwood." I know nothing about Millwood. I come from Jones, America, from a little town called Jones, Oklahoma. And we came in, and Mr. Clark, and I talked to Mr. Clark, and he said, "Well, you know, we have to build a program from elementary, and, you know, just come out of college, build it." I can do that. And so we end up having 5th grade basketball and 6th grade basketball. And it seemed like the whole school, all the girls came out. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Okay, I'll have 2 teams. I'm not cutting nobody."
Right.
I'm not, because you never know. I said, "Well, just for you coming out, we all gonna play. And of course, I have some outstanding, I have a couple of twins, the Abrams, a couple of Corsies. that I guess they've been playing ever since they was walking.
They played my clarinet too. They played clarinet today.
I had to share.
Yeah.
And my motto is do as many things as you possibly can.
There was never any competition between the sports and the band.
No? He said, well, they ain't made that chair. I said, go play the chair and come back to practice. You know, it was just, it depends on whether you want to be selfish or not. Do you want a kid to just do, you know, band might be his thing, basketball may be the thing. The more you do, you never know. At a young age, my opinion was that you don't ever know what you want to do. You know, you can say this and this, but when I was brought up was you do everything. Because right now you're not making no decisions. You're not working.
Right.
But I felt it was working, busting them suds and washing and cleaning. But my parents put that in my mind. You know, never let one thing stop you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just keep trying, and eventually that you'll have it. But I love the elementary. We was whooping everybody.
Yeah.
Could nobody stop them.
Now, at the time, you know, if you look up Millwood, you know, they didn't have a high school till 1971.
Right.
And the school had not integrated until about that time. At the same time, what was the racial makeup, and when did Millwood become a black school? When did it get that designation?
I don't know. That color barrier didn't bother me. If you could play, you could play.
Right.
And then also you was talking about the teachers. That didn't bother me either until they come in and talking about, you know, didn't do your work, and I'll be looking at them like, okay, you can take them with you. They can do their work while they're there. They don't need to practice today, or something like that. But I think, I don't know about that. To me, sometimes you get blind on color, and sometimes you work on color, it does mess up your head.
Right.
So if it's something that I can't do nothing about, I never worry about it.
You don't worry about it.
No.
The white teachers that were here because they wanted to be.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can think of some. Well, I mean, we can name Miss Eves and Stoback and Mr. Knoll and Mr. Logan. I mean, we can go on and on and on.
Yes.
We as students, I don't think we ever saw them any different, and you guys didn't treat them any different. But it was certainly a place they didn't have to be.
Those kind of people, though, that like Mr. Logan. I said, Mr. Logan, we need some hurdles out there. So can you go make us some? Because we can't afford them right now. And he said, you can come in here and I'll help you make them. I mean, you know, those are the type of people that in that particular time, I guess that's why, you know, the integration really didn't change anything. Did it change anything to you?
Right.
I think you asked the question, when did it become a black school? Like I said, I came here in 1977. I'm going to say around 1980, because
Really.
that it really became a black school. Because when I came here, there was I remember the white kids that were here was Tina Cotton, Tom Cotton,
Randy.
Yeah, I remember
Randy.
Cottons.
and after that,
Sally Allen.
right after that, you know, you didn't have too many other white kids to come. Not that I can think of.
Right.
You know, they played football and everything, and they played basketball and everything.
We had Mr. Lowry, the coaches. I mean, I don't remember there ever being an emphasis on race at all as a student here. I don't think anybody highlighted it. I think it was designated a black school from outside of the school. I don't think we saw ourselves any different than any other school.
Well, I think that the black school come from, like you said, the outside, because like when you play at the beginning, when you play basketball, you may see one Caucasian person playing on the team or not. And I remember, I'm getting too old. I can't remember all these names. The big tall girl, her dad, her mom, they supported my program. Lindsay. Taking them. I thought about Big Lindsay and her sister and Mr. Lindsay and Mrs. Lindsay. I mean, they just folded on in, you know, did their thing. And I remember her daughter just beginning to play basketball, the tallest thing I ever had. It took her so long to be able to shoot. And she came from Harding. I think Harding, one of the private schools. And they came to Millwood. I don't know. I think race becomes a problem when people bring it to you. race is a problem when somebody doesn't want to do the right thing when they want to do the right thing.
I recall a time, Mr. Scott, and this may happen in sports too, where we had to go in competition in other parts of the state, where we were the only blacks represented, only blacks who were represented in those competitions, and only one time that I became aware that we were being treated differently by the town people or by referees or by judges. Can you think of some times where you've had to defend or protect your students because of those outside places? Because we did have to travel to some.
Well, as a young coach, it took me a while to click. You know, you don't think about it because I come from a predominant, I guess, white school, white, whatever you want to call it, at Jones. But when I was going to school, I would go with her house and everything, and then my parents didn't really press it. It depends on what your family brings you up to do. And then when I played it really didn't come into reference to me until I got into high school. I never did want to coach high school, to be honest, because I loved elementary. Because it was all about playing, enjoying the game. When you get to high school, it's so many scenarios, so many things that you have to teach your kids about, and the things that they may hear. That's when I really got into this racial thing, was when I was in high school.
Right, and you've seen it in the games, you see it in the refs?
You see it in the game, you see it in the officials, you see it when you go, you know. And I had to teach my athletes that we're here to play basketball, go in and play it, and beat them, and get on out. We ain't got nothing else to do. You're going to hear the comments, but you don't have to comment. You know who you are and what you're about. And if you want to comment it, do it on the court by putting the ball in the hole and playing defense.
Right.
But that's really when that really came real plain to me when I got to high school. I really didn't have a choice to take high school. Dr. Edwards called me in there. They had a couple of, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 men coaches. And then one day I just thought I was going to go in there because I'd asked for some equipment for the elementary. He comes in there telling me, well, we got a problem. And I thought he saw my problem with me. And then he said, no, we got a problem with the girls' basketball. Okay, so what's that got to do with me? I'm in the elementary.
Right.
And so we either had a choice. It wasn't much of a choice now that I think about it. He said, well, you either take the girls' program or we close the program down. I said, I have to go talk to my husband. I'll call you back, you know. And I didn't want the program to die. Because once a girls' program dies, it's very difficult. Because I see it now in my softball program right here now, that somehow we just went backwards on it. And so I took the program, and God, it was hard. It was hard because nobody could play in high school. And then when we finally we'd get beat like 100 and something to 10, 15, then I said, okay, hold up. We're going to get beat because we don't really got the talent right now because we just got to build. I say, so our goal, if we scored 20 points, we won. And then we just gone up. We scored 30 points, we won. And then I began to go to Lindsay basketball camp. He was the best teacher that I've ever had, was Coach Haley. He was the winningest coach at that particular time, wasn't it, Coach Allison?
Was.
And so I told Coach Allison, you know, we got to go to camp. And eventually it's going to take time for us to build, and it did take time. Then we started winning our district, and then I got Coach Allison. Make a long story short, we started winning more than one game. And then, and then we were in the 6-on-6.
Yes.
And the biggest problem with us 6-on-6 was that our guards had a hard time getting the ball up to the line to give it to our forwards because we had good forwards. And then I think we won district, right,
yes,
with that
did.
6-on-6. And I'm here to tell you that Coach Allison was a great assistant coach. But I've been blessed. God blessed me with good assistant coaches.
So that's a great leadership. What makes a good assistant? And then, too, how do you become comfortable being the assistant? Because you certainly were very, very comfortable in that role, and it was a recipe for success. How does that work for so long? And you did it for 2 coaches.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Let's talk about how you own the role of being second assistant.
Okay. Well, when I came in, I believe it was Dr. Edwards. Dr. Edwards brought me in and told me that he needed an assistant coach, and I would be up under Coach Spears. And I didn't have any problem with it. With my background, come from a family of my sisters and brothers, 3 sisters and 3 brothers, having to work hard, up under them and up under my father and mother.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't have a problem with it, working under, some assistant coaches have a problem working under female coaches, and I didn't have that problem. And I enjoyed working with the Spears. I learned a whole lot. The first year was very challenging for me, because there were some things I did not know when it comes to working with girls,
Yeah.
And she put me to the side and said, Allison, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I took heed of those things and, enjoyed it.
That's good.
Yeah, well, Coach Franklin, same story. He took me up under his wings and showed me some things and just went from there. And he was, he informed me that he looked at, now I coach football. And I'm going to be on the football field, so the show is yours until I come in. And I really enjoy that. We had him jumping. I remember one guy, he used to come in, and I think he was always work on the roof. And he told me one time, so when the thoroughbreds come in, you got to let them run.
Right.
So I always remember that. So when Coach Franklin came off the football field, we was ready to go.
Well, here's the thing. Did you all play in this? Because as I asked around some of your former athletes, I said when I talked about you and Chop as the coach and assistant coach, they said they had a really good cop, bad cop thing going on. How did y'all? It was always somebody that was saying, "Come on, you need to do it," and if you don't want to do it, wait till Chop get here. That kind of thing. Talk about your role with the good cop, bad cop.
Well, I used to have a saying that you don't believe fat meat is greasy.
That's what I'm saying.
I can show you better than I can tell you.
Yeah, right, right.
Every time I see kids now, they always bring that back to me. So it was one of those things. I would always go to Coach Franklin before I would make a decision. He said, Allison, you need to do this, you need to do that. I remember one situation we had, and it was a requirement that all basketball players had to run cross country to get in shape. So we had a couple of basketball players. One young man, he just didn't want to do right, and I went to Coach Franklin and informed him what was going on. And he said, "This is what we need to do," and we drafted a letter, sent it to his mother and father, and informed the mother and father what was going on, and we was going to put him on probation for a period of time. And the father really didn't enjoy that. It was, it led to some other things too, him moving to another school.
Right.
And but Coach Franklin was always informing me as to what to do, because he was the head coach. But like I tell everybody, I caught more hell being the assistant coach than he did the head coach.
Right.
Because I was kind of guy that was really hard on the kids. I was really hard on. I think there was a point in time you got to know when to let up, on kids. So he would often told me one time, we got to break him. We got to break him. But then there's a period of time you got to let up so you won't run them away.
That's right.
But
right.
I was kind of hard on the kids. I really was.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, talk about the changes that you've seen in 40 years of being around kids and in education. I certainly don't think that it's the same. Even looking back, I'm like, the way teachers engage with kids, the way kids interact with administrators and teachers has changed. How were you able to stay relevant and significant through all the changes?
Well, my thing is that respect and honor has not changed. It's the people that's changed. Respect is respect. Honor is honor. You respect your elders. That's what you're taught. We can go to Sunday school. And
don't look at me like that. You like I'm doing it.
And then we've had a lot of things. Coach Allison was my assistant. We had a long talk because we decided to get out of 6-on-6 and go to 5-on-5. We were the only school that in our league that went 5-on-5. We were the first to go 5-on-5 in Oklahoma City as in our group, because I was strictly 6-on-6. 5A, 6A was 4A too?
Yes.
We're playing 5-on-5. 3A and 2A was steady 6-on-6. So we're petitioning to play 5-on-5. And so 1990 was the first state championship with a bunch of girls that academically inclined. They really set the bar for me, because like what they're doing now is just wonderful. You know, you got no, start naming them names. I got a judge.
You already messed up by the game in a year. You gave 1990 the year. You
Yeah.
forgot 87.
What? Well, 87 we didn't win no state champion.
But we were smart.
Yes, and that also. Wait a minute. You set the bar. Your own students set the bar. Whether they're, I'm more academically than I am athletics. Really, if you can't do your books, I feel you can't play.
Right.
Because all you have to do is go in that classroom, sit down, and talk to that teacher if you got a problem. But if you want to go in and interrupt, that means that you're not going to follow our directions. I mean, when we're supposed to run a stack, you're over there doing something else that you want to do.
Right.
So, students can teach. You can learn from students. And some of them 87s, I ain't naming no names, they taught me a lot. Students can teach you, I'm not going to make that mistake with this next group.
That's the next group, right.
And, I don't know. I really don't know. I still think it has a lot to do with respect and honesty.
What were some of the things that you all did to keep up with the changes of students over the years?
Keep up with the changes of students. I think the students tried to keep up with me. I didn't change.
Right.
Yeah.
You either did it or you didn't.
Right.
That was it. I didn't change anything. And they fell in line.
Right.
And I had some very smart students, very smart. And when I first came, I recognized how smart my students were. And I used to put the grades on the board. When they got the grades, they'd all bring the grades in for me, and I put them on the board. And we were ahead of the athletes in terms of academics, but the athletes caught up.
Right.
And so it was kind of even. It was kind of, academics were kind of just the thing to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
See, you would also, back in the day, and Cupid, that if you didn't have the right grades, your name went up on the wall in the hall. You ineligible because, and then when you get to practice, the students say, "What's wrong with you?" Or something like that. If you need some help, I can help you. And so, now you can't do that because that's invade privacy.
Do you remember when you went to school at Langston? They put our names on the wall in the dormitory
Right.
when you didn't get your grades.
Tell it as we start coming to an end. I want you all to talk about some of the traditions here at Millwood that you hope never changes. When you come back, when you return, what are some things after 50 years of the entire school, you're 40, 45 years here, what's some things that you hope never change?
I hope the academics don't never change, or the enthusiasm of a kid having a goal in life to be someone. When you come in sometime, I used to have to do a contract. Oh, you make your grades, that's number one priority, and things of that individual. But somehow we got that I can play and I don't have to do the work in the classroom, which is just as false. Whoever puts that attitude on a kid, there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with you. Got to be, if you're not a student athlete, then I just don't think you can go far. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. You got to be a student athlete. You got to want to be someone after you get through bouncing that ball and you have your first knee surgery. You have to have something else.
Right.
And I don't want that to change. And I don't want change like with Ann and all that class. I'll say, we bleed blue. That's why we whooping y'all. We, we bleed that blue. And I just don't want things like that. Sometimes history be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
We want history, but that's what I learned. You learn from the history back then. You know, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to go forward. And here at Millwood, I want our athletes to go forward, have their own business, have their own whatever. Like some of our academic athletes. I mean, the girls. I can only speak for the girls, but I can speak for the boys too. But I'll speak for the girls.
Yeah.
They do well. Those that want to do well, they do well, and they know I'll be proud of them. I have a couple that call me all the time about what they're doing, and some call and say, well, you just have to pick yourself up and move on. Take one day at a time. Get it done. Get
Yeah.
it done. Don't whine about it. Just get it done. Say everything is. I think anything worthwhile is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And I think that's what has not changed. I hope that have instilled in our student athletes, not only our student athletes, Millwood, that nothing worthwhile is easy.
That was fundamental for me and all of the friends that I talked to. Mr. Scott, what about for you?
I don't want to see parental support change.
Yeah.
I had a terrific band booster organization.
Me too. Athletic.
Anything I wanted, my parents provided for me. I would take them on band trips. I would give them duties to do. Some of them thought they were going to go shopping when we got to places. But I divided the band up into 4 students per parent. These parents had medicines, time to take the medicines, the money. I can remember giving them $2 every time we stopped at McDonald's. I'd give the students $2 a piece.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that by myself.
Right.
I had parents.
Yeah.
I had parents that would they were there. I couldn't have done it without them.
Right.
Don't
Right.
want that to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Allison.
You know, I don't want to see the foundation of Millwood change. I have a tennis organization, and the name of my tennis organization, the Advantage in Sports Foundation. And when you talk about foundation, it starts from the bottom and goes to the top. You know, I often tell my tennis kids and the parents, I say, we have a foundation. It's a foundation. I can take little Johnny. I can start him here. If you promise to let Johnny stay with me for 5 years, I can take him to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And at Millwood, we have a foundation. You know, we have the preschool, we have elementary school, we have middle school, and we have high school. I've seen those kids when I was teaching. They started kindergarten. You know, they went on to the middle school and went on to the high school, and they came out very successful. We was talking about how the coaches and the other teachers work together. I remember one time we had a young man, Chris Dixon. Chris Dixon, there was a conflict. His parents wanted, Chris was in the band, he was playing basketball too. And it was one of those things that I think Mr. Scott wanted him at band practice at a certain time, and we wanted him at basketball practice. Yeah. We wanted him at basketball practice, you know. So a decision had to be made. And I think maybe his junior year or his senior year, I think he transitioned on over to basketball. But Chris went on to Morehouse College, and right now Chris is a doctor in Kansas City, Missouri. You know, he's a medical doctor in Kansas City, Missouri. Came from a great family.
Yeah.
But the foundation, I would not like to see the foundation change. I want to see those teachers continue to build those students and continue to love them and push them and let them know, hey, you can do this here thing. You know, you can be successful. We have a number of kids from Millwood that has been successful, and you can do the same thing. And I see this in Millwood today.
Right.
You know, I see them. I look at the Facebook page, and we have an outstanding superintendent, and she's doing an outstanding job. And now she's going to take Millwood a long way.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm excited about that I hope to never change is the pride
Oh,
that
God.
everybody that's been a student here, even the ones that didn't graduate here, still claim to be a part of the Falcon family. But I'll say a little thing about pride, and you can talk about it if you want to, Mr. Scott. But pride is also one of those intangible things that we all have inside, but it was also a physical thing in the band room. It was your paddle was called pride. And so we don't do SWATs anymore. I hope you put that thing away and it's gone forever, because I have fond memories, or no, probably bad memories about the pride. Your legacy. Talk about what you want your legacy to be at Millwood. Now you've already have kind of the Franklin Spears court over there and all that, but and I know that's a big thing, but what is it you want your legacy to be as we celebrate 50 years and celebrate you all for being here for most of those 50 years?
Well, I look at it like this. God is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was brought up in a family that you had to go to church every Sunday and read Proverbs every time you turn around if you're going to do something wrong. And my legacy is what have I helped the students that I come in contact, that I get you through that hump that you had to get over. And evidently that is a true thing, because I do have a few that call me, and most of the time I'll be surprised, because I'm not going to give her name, but she called me the other day, and I said, oh my God, what are you doing? How are you doing? You know, things of that nature. Just the respect that they're giving me, you know, as to call me, to ask me something. Mm-hmm. And I'll be asking myself, who am I? Who am I to give them directions, you know, about that? But that word legacy, that just jumped up. That's just from hard work, and I've tried to do the right thing. But I learned something when I came back to take the coach's place. My sister and them tried to tell me, no, don't do it. It ain't the same thing. And they were so right. Mm. When I finished, I was so tired. And I had to learn. You know what that group taught me? That it's still, nothing has changed. But I went in the wrong. We should have went state, and I didn't, because it took me too long to understand. See, the reason that I think I was a winner is that I understood my students. Mm. And I know what kind of pressure they could get under and what kind they don't, and will they come through. But this particular group, when I went back, they was different. They thought they couldn't do things. Mm. And do you know, it is so hard in this day and age to change a student's perception of themselves. Mm. That was hard. And then finally I just said, oh, hold up, I tell you what, this is what's fixing to happen now, because we are not making progress. That have to change to me. Because we finna go do this and do that, and if you can't change the what, y'all figure me out, because I can't do it. I told them I can't do it. I can't figure all you guys out.
Well, that's one of the things that people said about you when I asked them, I'm going to sit down with Miss Spears and Mr. Scott and all them. What is it that you would say about Miss Spears? And one of the things, even if they were not an athlete that played for you, mm-hmm. they would say, I would always get an encouraging word going down the hall from her. She was always an encourager. She would say, good game, but we got one coming up this week. You did a good job, and we got another one coming up this week. Don't get too comfortable, so we got work to do, right? And so your legacy is just what you said, is that you did a really good job of defining us and telling us what we can become.
It can be anything.
Yeah.
And right now, you can't want somebody to give it to you. We have too many that think somebody gonna walk up and say, hey, here's your $100,000 job, you know?
No.
You have to work, and that's what I want the students at Millwood to realize. I don't care what time it is. You gotta work for what you got. And you gotta work harder, and you gotta be better. You know, they think the world has changed. It's changed, but still working hard, respect, and honor has not changed. And so, you know, that's what I want from Millwood students, to know that when I step out of Millwood, that I'm ready for the world. I know that I can work. I know how to work. We've been working here all our life, and I know what it takes to get to be number one. Everyone thinks that Millwood just jumps up and have, the athlete, don't they? We got all that. Oh, no. Oh, no. You are so far from being wrong. We have to work with them. If it's not so much talent, we have to work with their attitude. We want them to be successful, professional people. And that's what I've always wanted. I don't want you going out there cussing somebody out, because they don't want to do something. Learn how to walk away. Be professional. They probably have them to come to you to get a job.
That's right.
You bring it back to their attention. What happened? No, don't do that.
Mr. Scott, what about your legacy? What do you want it to be? What do you think it
I
is?
think Coach Spears said it all. You can't, nobody's going to give you anything. You got to work for everything that you get. And I tried to instill that in my band members by denying them the uniform. And it was amazing how much work I got out of it just by doing that. And they were proud that they earned that. I didn't give it to them. They earned it. And I hope that remains. I hope they leave Millwood and go out into the world and say, I got to earn this. I got to work for this. Nobody's going to give me this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Mr. Allison.
Well, the legacy that I would like to leave would be that Coach Allison was a footprint in the sand. Meaning that he picked me up, he taught me character, integrity, how to love, how to treat people, how to be respectful, how to work hard, not just taking the easy route. That was the legacy I would like to leave.
That's good. One of the things that I can tell you all that, bar none, I knew I was going to be talking to you for more than a week. And so I knew I've been talking to all the old Falcons that I bump into and asking them to tell stories about. And I have some, but I'm just not going, So some of them may not be appropriate, but they're still fun to talk about off camera.
Oh, God. God.
But bar none, the very thing that was consistent is that when we were here at Millwood, we knew we were cared for. Yeah. You all did an excellent job of not just educating us, but making it a place. We didn't want to ditch school. There wasn't a whole lot of it. We knew we were coming to a place where we were cared for, no matter what. And I can give you example of we're doing that. There's one student, Mr. Scott, that said they were having a sick day. They were not feeling good. They were waiting on their parents to come pick them up. There was competition time. We were going to a competition, and they wet themselves, waiting on their parent to come. They wet themselves. And Mr. Scott, instead of allowing them to be embarrassed, Mr. Scott went in and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And poured water all over them so that no other student would recognize that they had had an accident. And now their parent had to come and pick them up not because they were sick or they wet themselves, just because they had an accident and got all wet in the bathroom. And so that just shows us the little things you do to go out of the way. I don't know if you remember that story or who it was. I would love to tell the name, but
oh, God.
You didn't want them embarrassed, so I want embarrassed. That's good. So thank you so much, and thank you all for being around for the 50th celebration of the 50-year celebration for Millwood, and thanks for carving out time for me to talk to you today. It's my honor and my pleasure to do that with you.
Thank you.
Yes, my honor that you decided to ask me.
Thank you all. We'll see you all next time.